Millions of drivers have been charged with inflated loan rates on their finance agreements, so it's quite clear that car dealerships have managed to rip quite a lot of people off. But what is the best way you can purchase a car without getting ripped off? Some people argue that leasing is the better option because you can drive the latest cars at an affordable price, and some people argue that buying and owning your vehicle is the better option because it works out cheaper in the long run. After hours of searching and finding the best deals, I've done the calculations so you don't have to, and in this video we'll explore the 4 different ways of buying a car, what the differences are, the pros and the cons, and most importantly what the cheapest option is. I'll also share my 2 cents on what I think is the best option, so let's dive right in. So as an example, I've chosen a Tesla Model 3 and I've based my calculations around this car, and this is currently priced at £40,000. Why did I choose this car? Well, because more and more people are switching to EV. Tesla is becoming increasingly affordable and it's a really fun car to drive, so why not? So the first way that we can purchase this Tesla is by buying it outright. You own the vehicle from day one. It's yours the moment you make that transaction. So here are the calculations. If we decide to buy a brand new Tesla and we buy it outright, then we need £40,000 and we don't have to worry about any limits or any interest payments or monthly payments. We just need £40,000, which is a huge lump sum. And if we decide to sell the car in the future, we can sell it for half its value and get some of our money back. And this would have cost us about £20,000 over the course of 3 years. Some of the pros of buying a car outright are you have complete ownership of the car. You can easily sell the car whenever you want. There are no restrictions on how much you can drive. You can personalize the car to your heart's content. You can tint it, wrap it, and put that body kit you've always wanted. And finally, you don't have to worry about making ongoing payments or any interest payments. And some of the cons of buying a car outright is that you need a huge lump sum in order to buy the car. You miss out on the opportunity of investing your cash into an appreciating asset like a property or stocks. You'll have to face a massive depreciation hit if you buy a brand new car. In the first year alone, the car will lose 30% of its value and up to 50% of its value over 3 years. And you're responsible for all the maintenance and repairs, and this can be quite costly. The second way to purchase this vehicle is by financing it through a hire purchase. How a hire purchase works is that you put down a 10% deposit and borrow the remaining balance from a lender. The lender loans you the money at a set interest rate for a fixed term. In our case, is 36 months, which is 3 years, and you repay this loan on a monthly basis until your loan is fully paid off. At the end of the agreement, you have full ownership of the car. And if we decided to go through the financing route and bought the car via a hire purchase, then initially they require a 10% deposit. So you need to put down £4,000 as a deposit. The remaining balance we would have to borrow from the lender. So in this case, £36,000. The interest they charge us on this is 8.5%. And the monthly repayments would be £1,136. We times that by 36 months and add on the deposit. This gives us £44,896. So in total, over the 3 years, it would have cost us £44,896, which is quite expensive. The third way to purchase this vehicle is by financing it through a personal contract purchase. This is by far the most popular way of buying a car in the UK, and 90% of the people in the UK finance their car through this method because of the flexibility it gives you at the end of your agreement, which we'll get to in a second. And how a PCP works is that you put down a 10% deposit and borrow the remaining balance from the lender. The lender loans you this amount at a set interest rate for a fixed term, but there is something else that is added in this equation. The lender will estimate how much the car will be worth at the end of the agreement. This is known as a residual value. They calculate the difference between the cost of the car and the residual value. This is then added to your finance balance, and the total sum is split across the fixed term, so 36 months, and that makes up your monthly repayments. At the end of your agreement, you have 3 options, one of which is to make a balloon payment, which is the value of the car at the end of the agreement, to fully own the car. And if we decided to finance through a PCP, again, 10% deposit, the remaining balance we borrow from the lender, £36,000, interest rate of 9% on top of that. Our monthly payments is much lower. We times that by 36 months and add on the deposit. This gives us £26,788. But we have the option of buying this car at the end and making that balloon payment of £20,795. And this costs us £47,583 by the end of the agreement, if we decide to make that balloon payment. As you can see, so far, it's looking like the most expensive option, way more expensive than hire purchase. Now, with both of these financing options, you have to be really careful, especially with PCP, because they will play around with the figures and try to bring this monthly payments as low as possible so that you sign on. But where they charge you more is the interest. They're very sneaky people. They just want to make money. So keep an eye out on those interest rates, the fees, and plus the final payment. You tend to forget that you'll have to dish out £20,000 at the end of your agreement whilst you've paid £26,000 over 3 years. So it really adds up. And make sure that whoever you're dealing with that's selling you this PCP contract, they don't add on extra fees when it goes to the back office. So documentation fees or any of that crap. Make sure everything is communicated before you sign those contracts so you know what you're getting into and what the costs are going to be, because these guys have missold millions of people high interest rate loans. If you're one of the unlucky ones that were charged really high interest rates, then you might be due for a repayment. So make sure you keep an eye out on the news and see if you're eligible and get some of that money back. Some of the pros of financing a car are, if you can't afford to buy a car outright, then financing breaks the costs of the car into monthly repayments. As you make your repayments, you gradually start building equity into the car. The car is entirely yours once you make that final payment. You can trade in your car for an upgrade. The dealership will take your deposit and the car's value at the end of your agreement and use that towards a new car. Now, the cons of financing are: the monthly repayments can be much higher compared to leasing. There is a mileage restriction until the agreement comes to an end. Like buying, you're responsible for the maintenance and the repair costs of the vehicle. You can't make any modifications to the vehicle until you make that final payment and it's completely yours. If you do modify it, then you have to reverse the modifications if you decide to trade in and upgrade your vehicle, and this can be quite costly. And the fourth way that we can get this car is by leasing it, which is similar to renting. You rent the car for a fixed term, but you never own the vehicle. You have to return it at the end of the agreement. How leasing works is that the monthly lease payments covers the depreciation of the vehicle, the interest cost, and any additional fees. And that is split over 36 months, 3 years. For leasing, we need to put down an initial payment, which is much like a deposit of £4,480. This brings our monthly payments to £535, times that by 36, add our initial payment on top of that, £23,740. So this is looking like the second cheapest option out of the four. Some of the pros of leasing a car are that your monthly lease payments are much lower than financing. Your lease agreements usually last 2 to 4 years, meaning that you drive a new car more often. You're not affected by the car's loss in value, and many leases come with a warranty coverage for maintenance and repairs, so you don't have to worry about those. And if you own a business, then you can subtract your lease payments from your income because car lease payments are tax deductible. Now, the cons of leasing are: leases come with mileage limits, and if you exceed those, then you incur some charges. You don't own the vehicle when the lease ends. You can't make any modifications to the vehicle, and if you do, then you have to get rid of them before you give the car back. And you have to give the car back in a good condition. So looking at the calculations on the screen, the cheapest option we really have is to buy the car outright. Now, I've got a secret option that is even cheaper, and that is to buy a secondhand Tesla. A secondhand Tesla with very low mileage, good condition, would cost you about £25,000. Again, you don't have to worry about any limitations or interest payments. £25,000, and if you decided to sell the car after 3 years for £15,000, really and truly this would have cost us £10,000 over 3 years. And you can see that it's the cheapest option out of all of these other options. So what's the best choice for you? That really depends on your priorities, your budget, and your preferences. Buying a car gives you complete control and ownership of the car. Leasing provides lower payments and you get to drive a brand new car every 2 to 4 years. And financing offers a balance between ownership and affordability, but you do end up paying a lot more because of the high interest payments. You have to really be careful that you don't get ripped off when you go to a car dealership. They will try all they can to make the monthly repayments as affordable as possible to get you to sign on, but they'll end up charging you more in fees and interest payments. Me personally, I stick to buying secondhand cars and let another person take that depreciation hit. I don't change cars often. I tend to keep my cars for about 6 years, so I end up saving a ton of money. What I mean by that is if I bought a secondhand Tesla for £25,000, then over 6 years it would have cost me £25,000. But if I was to lease a car every 3 years, then I would have to renew that lease, and this would end up costing me about £46,000. And if I was to finance a car and upgrade, then I would have spent well over £70,000 over the course of 6 years. Even if I decided to buy a brand new Tesla, then that would work out to be cheaper as well. That would be the second cheapest option because I would have spent £40,000 over the course of 6 years. But if I fancy driving a brand new car every 2 to 3 years, then I would probably go for the leasing option, as that's cheaper than financing or buying a car outright. And if I had a business, then leasing would be my number one choice because car lease payments are tax deductible. Think about the numbers that we just went through and make a decision that doesn't hurt your finances, and you'll drive away with confidence. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe for more videos like this. Thank you ever so much for watching. Take care, and I'll catch you in the next video.